The St. Louis Crisis Nursery is committed to helping children in need, and that means building relationships within growing communities. Our guest, Sara Johnson-Cardona, Latino Outreach Program Director of St. Louis Crisis Nursery, is still here, and we're welcoming also now the Public Programs Manager of the Missouri Botanical Garden, Jennifer Smith. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you.
So joining us here, we've been talking about the St. Louis Crisis Nursery, and Sara, why don't let's go back again and talk a little bit about the Crisis Nursery and some of the things that you're doing here in the St. Louis area.
Yeah, so the Crisis Nursery started 31 years ago based on feedback from the community that they needed somewhere to take their kids in any type of serious emergency, where they could leave their kids for 24 to 48 hours or a little bit longer so they could get through the crisis and keep everybody safe. And so that's how the nursery started. And then from there, we have a variety of programs to specifically address whatever needs we're seeing. And the Latino Outreach Program is one of those outreach programs.
Which we were talking about in the last segment. So let's, if I wanted to use the St. Louis Crisis Nursery, I had a need to take my kids, what's the first step? How do I do that?
That's a really good question. So there's a variety of numbers that you can call. So you would call and you would explain the situation, like what you're going through, to some really, really nice intake staff who are super knowledgeable. And so they would help you to feel at ease and just respond and validate and be there for you. And then you two would decide together what the best course of action was at that time. So maybe there's a resource that they could give you so that you actually wouldn't have to bring your kids in. Or if the best thing to happen at that time was for you to bring your kids in and leave for a certain amount of time, then they would help you through that whole process.
So the intake counselors can help decide the course of action, which location, if it's appropriate, and other services in the St. Louis area that might really be more appropriate for that particular family.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, does anybody ever just show up at the door? And if so, what happens?
So people do show up at the door at the 5 nurseries and the 9 outreach centers, might be 10 outreach centers now, to ask for items. So maybe they need diapers, or maybe they don't have enough food for that night, or maybe they need formula for their baby. And for those types of things, as much as possible within certain, each nursery has a little bit different policies with that.
Okay.
So that's what people show up for the doors
Got it. But it's better to call first.
Yes, but to leave your, to use the nursery respite services, then yes, call first.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Jennifer, Missouri Botanical Garden, always doing amazing things in our community. And you guys have outreach, and you're working with the Crisis Nursery. So talk about that. What are you up to?
Yeah, so in 2015, I believe it was the fall of 2015, we received a donation in honor and memory of Mary Ann Lucas. And it was to reach out to children who were underserved or couldn't necessarily come to the garden. And we have a Little Sprouts program at the garden, but one of the things I'd always wanted to do was to take that on the road and serve kids who can't come to us or aren't able to come to us. And so when we received that fund, I had known about Crisis Nursery, and it just kind of clicked that we wanted to take this Little Sprouts program on the road. And so we started, I think it was January of the following year, we started going into 2 of the nurseries, the St. Charles location and the Centene location, and doing nature-based programming with the kiddos, and that has been really successful, really fun and engaging. But then as I learned more about the organization, I learned about the FEP program, the Family Empowerment Program, and the Latino Outreach component of it. And we do family nights at the garden for specific organizations that need a private night. So it's a safe, welcoming, comfortable environment for just that client base. And this was the perfect fit for that, to sort of reach out to that population, to come to the garden to see what we're all about and get folks to come to the garden that don't normally come. And so we had a great family night. We had 432 people came.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So these were all clients of the St. Louis Crisis Nursery, or supporters, or both?
So most of the families who came that night were clients, but we did that event in partnership with South City Church with my friend Jared there, and also Kingdom House with Sarah, another
So
Sarah.
those
and so they also
folks all joined. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and then come back and learn more about Little Sprouts and St. Louis Crisis Nursery. So much to learn about, and the Latino outreach and the Halloween party that's coming up. So stay with us for more on STL Live.